Kaos, Dark Portal Master of the Skylands and Harbinger of Doom. Lord Vortech, Conqueror of Dimensions and Ruler of Foundation Prime. These space and time-threatening villains have cast shadows over many worlds, with whole armies from another reality needed to stand against them. And definitely not as an excuse to sell toys. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Welcome to a world of endless adventure, an infinite expanse of countless islands adrift in a never-ending sky, where the limit is what you make of it. The Skylands, a place where all manner of creatures live peacefully, with fantastical discovery around every corner. And at the center of it all, the wondrous core of light. Or it was, until he struck Kaos. Kaos was what was known as a portal master, a powerful mage who commanded a portal of power, which Kaos could use to summon and create whole legions of troops, in addition to his own magic. He was a servant of the darkness, but would be thwarted time and time again by the defenders of the realm, the Skylanders. That was until one day when the core of light was destroyed by his forces, the destruction so great that it booted all the goody-goodies out of reality. No one really knows why Kaos is like this. Some say it's the desire to become supreme overlord. Others say it's to earn the affections of his mother. Villainy does run in the family after all. Either way, he had always been like this. Even as an infant forming the, quote, evil baby army of evil drool, only defeated by nap time. Whatever the case may be, Kaos' magic isn't anything to mess with. He can fire blasts of dark energy, create giant weapon constructs, form barriers of evil flame, conjure a pair of giant hands to smash his enemies, and channel the elements. Fire, water, air, earth, life, death, magic, and technology. He's also able to project an image of a massive imposing face that he can see and speak through, used when trying to intimidate enemies due to his less than intimidating stats so normally. It's not just for show though, it can emit sonic blasts, and even shoot lasers from its eyes. And of course, his bread and butter, summoning. While the portal helps for deploying troops, he doesn't really need it to conjure them to his side. And his army is massive. Foot soldiers like the Trolls, Cyclopses, and Drow make up the rank and file, while heavy hitters like the Gear Golems take on tougher threats. His army can also cast magic of its own thanks to units like the Spellpunks. Even with their lesser magic, they can steal or destroy enemy gear, revive fallen allies, and prevent abilities from being used. Troll tanks and Drow Zeppelins provide cavalry. Inhuman shields give defense, and Trompies provide cannon fodder. And when all else fails, he can send out waves of Doom Sharks! There's also, of course, his undead minions, like skeletons, which he's able to create more of at a moment's notice thanks to a special concoction he has that converts anyone exposed to the liquid into an undead thrall, with him having enough of the stuff to rain down over all of Skylands. Then, next to the big man himself are the real heavy hitters, champions like the Doomlanders, who personify all manner of warrior. Whether they be swordsmen, archers, gunslingers, mages, brawlers, or something else entirely. He can even create dark copies of the Skylanders to bolster his army, creating perfect counterparts of them. Impressive when the Skylanders' ranks include phoenixes like Sunbird, yetis like Slambam, Bowser, Crash Bandicoot? We're getting off track. He also has the Titanic Hydra, a beast that controls fire, water, life, and death, and was the one to destroy the core of light. And of course, with it through them all is his trusty, if not dejected servant, Glumshanks. The dude's been to hell and back, but he still sticks by Kaos' side, ready to help his master in whatever way he can, or try to fix his obviously faulty plans. Kaos puts him through a lot, but he really relies on him at the end of the day. Yeah, Kaos isn't exactly the brightest tool in the shed. Probably why he was so easily manipulated by fellow villains like the Doom Raiders. Still, he ended up having the last laugh, and they'd eventually come back to join him. Among them include the evil genius Dr. Crankcase, the nefarious Dreamcatcher, who can put whole towns to sleep with her magic, and the malevolent Golden Queen, who can grow to titanic sizes and turn enemies into solid gold. Though possibly Kaos' greatest ally would come in the form of Brain, a primordial being with access to mind magic, reality warping only limited by imagination he would teach to Kaos. Fortunately, Kaos isn't very imaginative and just became a Super Saiyan. Totally his first super form, He's possessed items like the Iron Fist of Arcus, turning him into a kaiju-sized robot with control over a whole army of other kaiju-sized robots. Though, possibly the strongest of these forms is his Traptanium-infused one. Traptanium is a super-powered mineral, which Kaos was imbued with to grow to giant size. That seems to happen a lot. He gains a crystalline body, a pair of intimidating wings, and can dual-wield massive crystal sabers, or make whole fans of them to throw out. He can move at super speeds, create massive blasts of darkness, and even become aware of the real world. Hell, not only is he aware of it, he's even been able to pull stuff through into the game world, like this Skylanders brand lunchbox, and was described as being able to even hurt the player if he got the hang of things. This isn't even mentioning Traptanium's innate property, being able to trap enemies in a pocket realm within the crystal, while also binding them to the master's will. Not like that's his only way of getting enemy powers for himself either, given he's also in possession of the Mask of Power, which can rob people of their abilities and grant them to Kaos, even being able to drain all the Skylanders at once, only backfiring when he was tricked into using all their powers at the same time. There's also the Sky Eater, a colossal flying fortress that can devour the fabric of reality itself, threatening to consume all of the Skylands, and that even stops portals or dimensional travel from being used, making it immensely difficult for those Skylanders, now in another reality, to be sent back by their new portal master to stop him. And these are the same portals that can send people to any point in space or time. Between the Sky Eater and other powerful magics, Kaos is able to threaten all of the infinite Skylands. Not surprising, given even his minions were able to blow up the Core of Light, that lit up the entire expanse and kept the omnipotent darkness from destroying it all. The same darkness that grants Kaos his magic in the first place. He's even been able to fly his castle to the Outlands, a place beyond the bounds of the Skylands, and then back to the Core of Light. How does that even work? Still, nothing lasts forever. Kaos' ego gets the better of him time and time again, and with the help of a portal master in the new world, the Skylanders would return time and again to stop him. But you can rest assured, he'll never quit. He'll always be back, he'll always be scheming, and he'll always be finding the latest and greatest way to bring about your doom.
Kaos! What have you done?
Nobody tells Kaos what to do except Kaos, and that's me, and I'm him, and you're history!
Across time and space, from the sprawling beauty of Middle-earth, the bustling metropolis of Bricksburg, or the prehistoric wonders of Isla Nublar, one fact rang true throughout all worlds great and small. The dimensions, no, all of existence, was under attack. And not just by yet another typical villain who goes for these sort of things every other week. No, this time it was the biggest, baddest evildoer of all, a being so wicked that even all the other villains in the multiverse feared his wrath. He's the single greatest threat that ever was and ever will be, the champion of order and enemy of chaos, the one, the only, Lord Vortech. Vortech's origins are largely a mystery, but we do know that he had long traveled throughout the dimensions in search of a single place known as Foundation Prime. With an anomaly-detecting robot known as Expo, Vortech found it, and set about his plan to bring all of existence together as one, putting an end to the disgusting chaos and bringing about total and complete perfection. But in order to do that, Vortech needed to collect relics from each of the dimensions, known as the Foundation Elements. And to make matters worse, Vortech's cause came with a cost, as it was becoming hard for him to cross realities. Not a problem though, because Vortech's the ultimate evil for a reason, and he has the strength to back it up. Vortech's might is astonishing, and he easily stands as the single most powerful being in existence. Even villains like Brainiac, the Cyberman, or the Overlord would find themselves in Vortech's service, giving him access to a nearly all-powerful army that could crush any force in the multiverse. And with the ability to cross dimensions at will, Vortech quickly had access to the tools he needed to accomplish his goals. See, the Foundation Elements made it seem like a bunch of random items, but a few of them have some really potent abilities of their own. Dorothy's ruby slippers can grant any wishes the user might have. The Palantir allows one to spy on their enemies and the world at large to collect information, and the Staff of Elements allows the wielder to steal and use the powers or abilities of its victims. But that's just touching the surface. Vortech's powers over existence are so great that he can create infinite portal loops, forever trapping his victim in an indefinite loop with no end that cannot be escaped without outside intervention, even if the victim is also capable of dimensional travel. With all these powers and more, it's safe to say that Vortech had everything he needed to conquer the multiverse. And so, he set to work being evil. Kidnapping his targets and claiming the Foundation elements, Vortech built an army of villains from the ranks of Fixin and collected everything he needed to command reality. But like any good villain, he wound up attracting the attention of some heroes. Right. While Vortech's plans actually worked quite well at first, his spree of dimensional disturbances caught the eye of a few particular champions of good throughout the dimensions. Most significantly, Batman from the world of DC Comics, Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, and Wildstyle from the Lego Movie. Together, they would set out to put a stop to Vortech's plans, and actually proceeded to throw a wrench into several of them. Well, good thing Vortech has an army of the most evil evildoers in history. Lex Luthor, Sauron, Dr. Eggman, General Zod, Lord Business, and a bunch of other big bads are in the service of this guy, let alone their armies. Even the Try, a colossal amalgamation of Metalbeard, Robin, and Frodo Baggins, with a sword in one hand, a cannon for another, and a pair of somehow functional wings. And needless to say, his forces can do some crazy stuff. Lex's warsuit and technological knowledge make him a terror in any battle, while Sauron's dark magic and mental domination make him extremely useful for commanding forces and keeping things organized. The Overlord can even resurrect fallen allies from death, or seal and rescue allies or enemies in crystal. And this is without the raw powers that Vortech has given them. Special artifacts scattered throughout the multiverse, the keystone to some of these special tools. With these bad boys, Vortech and his forces can channel the elements to be outright immune to them, keeping them safe from things like fire or water attacks, such as infernos or rain. The Chroma Keystone can solve puzzles or reveal enemy weaknesses, Scale can change the size however the user wants to be giant or tiny, and Locate and Create can bring in help from other worlds to win the day. Vortech can even use these powers at will. He doesn't even need the keystones to trigger them. And with the Shift and Rip keystones, users can travel through reality at will, and these portals can be active even when the wielder's powers are being tampered with or shut down, so good luck stopping him from moving about. Even if Vortech somehow did get stuck, the Rip keystone let him escape into the real world. So, he can keep his own powers safe, but he can also mess with yours. Throughout the game, Vortech and his elite minions have the ability to just temporarily shut off people's powers at will, just like that. While it does require the focus of the minion nullifying it, it doesn't matter what your power is or how you use it. Because boom, you're stuck now, no fancy powers for you. Even trying to portal away is no use when Vortech can intercept people mid-teleport as they're flying across unknowable distances between whole different realities. Which, how did they even stop this guy? Well, technically, they didn't. Try as they might, Batman, Wildstyle, and Gandalf ultimately failed to stop Vortech getting all the Foundation elements. And with them all together, Vortech gained access to the foundation of all dimensions, and complete control over all existence. As such, there was nothing stopping him from bringing all of existence together in complete order and perfection, even across different points in history. The Day of Reckoning had come. With that power, the heroes couldn't do anything to Vortech. His command over all things was absolute, and the dimensions were doomed to collide and become one. The dude was strong enough to take 30 whole realities and smash them all together. However, there were ones who resisted, and an alliance of heroes, and even some villains, was formed to oppose him one last time. Batman, Wildstyle, Gandalf, the Ghostbusters, GLaDOS, some random arcade spaceship, and perhaps the most important of all, the Doctor. Even the Doctor's hated enemies, the Daleks, joined the fight to ensure Vortech was taken down. And so began the final battle for all of reality. But even when the heroes managed to destroy the foundation of all dimensions, Vortech's power source, he kept fighting. His might was so absolute that even such a loss wouldn't stop him for good. His power is unmatched, even when the foundation was removed from the equation. But ultimately, the Doctor and the TARDIS would triumph, finally knocking Vortech through a taste of his own medicine, a perfect drift loop from which he would never return. Or would he? So long as even a fraction of Vortech's essence remains in existence, he could always corrupt some poor soul to return to reality, and keep being evil. He may never truly be put down for good, but perhaps Vortech's own scheming was always doomed from the start. For in his conquest, Vortech's powers would reach throughout the dimensions and gain the attention of the most powerful force in the land. You. Yeah, you, the person watching this video. Vortech's portal travel is also tied to the real world, and it enabled heroes to meet and interact with random people or celebrities like Christopher Lloyd, Great Scott! But with the power to access the real world, Vortech's doom was sealed. For now, even you can join the battle to save us all. So go ahead, unleash the might of your favorite heroes, the ones you cherish from your childhood, or new additions you only just discovered. The Doctor, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Powerpuff Girls, the Justice League, and so many more. anything and everything can and will rise up to bring an end to Vortech's evil. For Vortech might wield indomitable power and total perfection. His dark reign will never triumph against the unstoppable force of good, fun, and boundless imagination.
Welcome to the end of chaos. And the beginning of perfection!
Alright, the combatants are set. We run the data through all possibilities. It's time for a death battle!
Finally, perfect order, the end of chaos.
Behold! It is I, Kaos!
Well, that didn't last long.
Listen up, Vortech!
Vortech.
Vortech! I'm here to claim Foundation pride, to finally bring home to the Skyland!
The Skylands, really? That little old place? Quaint.
Silence! Accept your doom!
Today's going to be one of those days, isn't it? I can't be bothered. I'm too giddy. Minions, attack.
What? No! Your cadence is all wrong! Minions! Attack!
Checkmate. Why don't you keep an eye on things?
Are you freaking? Hey! You ruined my fearsome face!
Honestly, I think it's an improvement. That's enough of that.
I can't help but laugh. Tremble in my awesomeness! Down! Find them! Be that way! You were no fun anyways.
army.
Yes, well, let's fix that.
No! I enslaved those minions fair and square. I'll hardly stand for this! Any more toys?
175, actually. But who's counting? Oh, wait. Me!
Cheating? Tut-tut, not on my watch.
Mine!
Mine! Mine!
Chaos is back! And this time, he has hair!
Just needed to make some stops. Quite simple, really. But I figured I should return, after all. There's no place like home.
Silence! I, Chaos, will not hear it! La 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 la!
You hear that? That's me not hearing you.
I hate those guys.
Chaos 1, Vortech 0. I win!
Everyone has a weakness. Let us see yours. Crystal prisons, of course.
What was that? I can't hear you over my
Supreme awesomeness!
Overlord, now!
Fools! You face!
Who's in there? Who's in there?
You're right, I do face doom. Yours. Welcome to your eternity.
No! Glumshanks, do it!
Possible!
Clearly not. I, Ross, just did it, idiot.
No! No! I will not fall this day!
You may win the battle, but I will win the
Got you yet? Now then, Vortech. Where was I? Oh, right.
Behold! Boom!
Well, all's well that ends well.
I will never die!
Glumshanks? Did you say something? Hey, Glumshanks? Glumshanks! Ugh, can't count on him for anything. Now then, let's see what fun we can have.
KO! And I bet that minifigure would have sold for a pretty penny if someone hadn't broken it, Chaos! This was a ridiculously intricate fight that could fall either way at a moment's notice. There's a lot to cover here, so let's break it down into 4 categories. Stats, powers, trump cards, and armies. Starting with stats, both have performed some insane feats. For example, both could accomplish logic-defying soarings of speed, like Chaos being able to fly out of the Skylands and back to its core, or Vortech being able to intercept cross-dimensional flights. Though, when it came to their raw power, Chaos had Vortech outmatched. At first glance, this may seem surprising, given Vortech was able to collide dozens of universes, while Chaos only ever really threatened one. However, it's important to remember just how big the Skylands are. Remember, the Skylands aren't an ordinary universe. They're repeatedly stated over and over to be an infinite realm. Meanwhile, there's nothing indicating the universe's Vortech mode for anything of the sort. Yeah, regardless of how many realms Vortech was smashing together, the Skylands would simply dwarf them in scope. So, with them matching in speed but Vortech getting outmuscled, Chaos takes the edge in stats. Though, frankly, stats matter little when both these characters have access to so many abilities. Both can do virtually anything they set their mind to. They can both control the elements, create anything they desire, travel through dimensions and time, change their size, and even access the real world. Hell, both could even warp reality to their whims, with Chaos's mind magic and Vortech's wish-granting ruby slippers. While they could go blow for blow over and over and over, and match each other in any number of different ways with their abilities, Vortech has, ironically, shown a lot more creativity and intelligence with his usage of powers. Chaos, meanwhile, when taught how to warp reality, only really thought of making himself buff. Vortech gets the point in powers for his more dynamic applications and adaptable usages, though either could theoretically recreate basically anything the other tried to pull. So let's move on to the big guns, things that would potentially end the fight immediately if they got pulled. Both had multiple ways of practically ensuring a win against any other opponent, but many of them ended up cancelling out. For instance, Chaos could try absorbing Vortech's abilities with the Mask of Power, but Vortech isn't really vulnerable to that sort of thing, seeing as the keystones he channels power from are able to function during otherwise power-nullifying effects. Or, while Chaos could try to convert Vortech with his Undeath Rain, Vortech's water barriers would be able to protect him. Chaos wasn't the only one getting shut down though. Trapping him in a rift loop wasn't gonna fly either, when the Sky Eater was able to stop portals from working around it, freeing Chaos and potentially interfering with more of Vortech's arsenal. In the end, both had one or two trump cards that the other had no resistances to. Vortech could use the Staff of Elements to shut down Chaos or just whisk him away with the aforementioned slippers, while Chaos could annihilate Vortech with the Sky Eater or seal him in Traptanium. With both able to counter plenty of win conditions from the other while still having ultimate gambits of their own, it's safest to say they tie when it comes to trump cards. Well, individually at least, but this changes when you look at their armies. Vortech's army was immensely imposing, with heavy hitters from plenty of different dimensions, but when it came to their versatility and utility, Chaos's had his beat. So, Vortech had some hidden aces, like Sauron being able to mentally sway troops, or Overlord being able to release people from Traptanium, even revive them, but Chaos's army was on a whole different level. Dreamcatcher could put the whole field to sleep, Golden Queen could instantly take out anyone with transmutation, range reality warping was just as potent as Chaos's without the limited imagination, and even basic spell punks could revive units just as effectively as Overlord, copy or steal enemy items like the Keystones and Foundation elements, and shut down enemy abilities without needing to focus on it like what Vortech's Elite had to do to use their nullification. And Chaos had tons of these guys, each with those capabilities. And while Vortech may not need the Keystones to use their abilities, them being striped would still let Chaos use them himself, and the Foundation elements would be serious losses to take. Once Overlord goes down, Vortech's team would lose their revive and be vulnerable to Traptanium sealing, whereas Chaos had plenty of units to fall back on that could accomplish the same results without all his eggs being in one or two baskets. And while Vortech himself may resist the Mask of Power, his army wouldn't be so lucky. And the mask has worked on armies before, a scale which Vortech's own power draining hasn't shown. All that to say, thanks to the sheer absurdity of their utility and variety, Chaos' army comes out on top. While Vortech certainly had the abilities and cunning to match and surpass Chaos in plenty of ways, Chaos' overwhelming might, unstoppable army, and trump cards of his own were enough to take the tyrannical lord apart piece by piece. Vortech really built himself up, but just couldn't escape his doom. Fitting that the end to his world of perfect order was Chaos. The winner is Lord Chaos.